What's going on, my fellow A-Plusers? Welcome back once again to a brand new episode of A-Plus Morphinominal, your stop for your Power Rangers, Super Sentai, Kamen Rider news and reviews right here on our YouTube page. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for certainly joining me once again. I am your Morphinominal host, Adam Perez, back at it once again with a very much impromptu episode of A-Plus Morphinominal this week. This was a story I was going to go ahead and sit on and maybe discuss and talk about later on this weekend, because we do have a live show this Saturday at noon Central Time for everybody that wants to join in. I was going to go ahead and talk about it on this weekend show, and we probably still will. If more information winds up coming out, I'm pretty sure we'll go ahead and talk about it. But guys, we've got huge development in regards to the Power Ranger franchise as things slowly start to get rolling on Hasbro's side. That might actually give us some further details, not only in regards to what's going to be happening with the movie and TV side of things, but does this kind of actually confirm the Hasbro and Toei potential split that we might have on our hands? I don't know, guys. We're going to be talking about it all right now. I don't know how long this video is going to go. I'm definitely going to be discussing all the topics and stuff with you guys today, kind of trying to pick everybody's brains, maybe answer some questions that you guys certainly might have. But before we get into the topic, who's in the house? We've got Jaden in the house. Thank you very much, Jaden, for certainly coming through. Johnny Marrero certainly in here as well. Nick Fan 2. I'm wondering where Nick Fan 1 is at. Tell him to come on board. We got Bacon and Sushi in here as well. So thank you very much. Edward Sanchez Productions making their presence known. Ram Jam certainly coming through. And of course, Matthew as well. And of course, I'm sure we'll have some stragglers that wind up coming in here. Fire Drake making his presence known also. And of course, we've got Steven. What's up, man? Appreciate you certainly coming through. I will say, Bacon and Sushi says, I thought the dude in the thumbnail was Simon Bennett. No, I'm going to introduce you today to Jonathan Entwistle. That's right. Or maybe it's Entwistle. I don't know. I think I'm calling him Jonathan Entwistle is how I'm perfectly hopefully saying his name. And of course, we've got my mom in the house. Thank you very much for coming through, Mom. And then of course, Red is not a flavor. So thank you very much for certainly coming through, Red. Guys, let's get into the big news, because we've kind of been wondering and asking ourselves really what the big direction is going to be for Power Rangers moving forward, right? We know that we do have Power Rangers Dino Fury that's coming to us from Hasbro. That's going to be on Nickelodeon starting in 2021. But after that, the future really is just a bunch of question marks when you really think about it, with the exception of us knowing that a movie is certainly coming our way. Well, listen, back in December, we wind up getting the huge announcement that Jonathan Entwistle was in fact going to be the director of this upcoming Power Ranger movie. But his job does not stop there, ladies and gentlemen. This news report actually comes to us from the Hollywood Reporter, letting us know that Power Rangers is getting a film and TV treatment from the I'm Not Okay With This creator in Jonathan Entwistle. So let's go ahead and break this article down, guys. We'll definitely go ahead and talk about it a little bit. In between the article, I may stop when something really important pops up and I want to kind of give my thoughts, but we'll definitely go ahead and break this down because this was an exclusive article from the Hollywood Reporter, I believe, outside of the press release that Hasbro released, which we'll certainly bring up for you guys also. I believe this is where the story really resides from. So let's go ahead and dive deep into this article from the Hollywood Reporter here, saying Jonathan Entwistle, see his little face right up there. It says Entwistle will shepherd the next series of screen adaptations as Hasbro's E1 arm takes the reins of the superhero franchise. It's over there, guys. They've been talking to us for a while that they were going to move Power Rangers from Allspark to E1. Mission accomplished. It says the Power Rangers are morphing again. Jonathan Entwistle, the creator behind Netflix's series It's the End of the Effing World, has been entrusted to engineer and shepherd the next series of screen adaptations of Power Rangers. It says, but while other factors have focused primarily on the big screen, the new initiative will see Entwistle overseeing and directing both film and television adaptation, guys. That's right. So from the time that we wind up actually getting the announcement that we were going to be getting ourselves a Power Ranger movie, clearly Hasbro and E1 have been working behind the scenes to see how they can certainly further develop this particular franchise. So the fact that now we've got Entwistle here who's going to be overseeing and directing both film and television adaptations. I am kind of wondering if this sort of now puts him sort of in that Kevin Feige role, if you will, right? The gentleman that's kind of going to oversee the property in regards to maybe some of the storytelling aspects, putting things certainly in place. I mean, granted, Jonathan Entwistle certainly does have head honchos of his own that he certainly has to answer to, and Nick Meyer, along with Michael Lombardo, who will go ahead and make a quote from later on in this video also. But it feels very much like Jonathan Entwistle, if not the Kevin Feige of the Power Ranger franchise going forward, at least a major sort of showrunner, if you will, for a lot of brand new television shows or movies that are certainly going to be adapted from there. So yeah, Entwistle overseeing and directing both film and television adaptions going forward. It says the move comes as E1, the production banner acquired by Hasbro in late 2019, becomes more active in the development and the production of adaptions of Hasbro brands. Of Hasbro-based brands. A Power Ranger feature was previously in development by Entwistle at Paramount, but now the reins have been taken by E1, with Entwistle's involvement will deepen. Now that is a big question mark for me. I am kind of curious as to why they moved the production from Paramount to E1. I'm not too familiar with E1 in regards to I feel like I'm pretty sure I've seen them produce and at least release movies before, but clearly maybe not on the global scale that is like Paramount, right? Like it's such a recognizable name. So it does make me scratch my head a little bit as to why they moved production from Paramount over to Entertainment One. And we'll tackle that a little bit more also as we get further. It says Entwistle will act as a conductor of a connected story universe that will bridge multiple platforms, guys. Entwistle will act as a conductor of a connected story universe that will bridge multiple platforms. Guys, do you recall when we last week or the week before here at APlus Morphinominal, when we highlighted about the story of Hasbro at the Festival of Licensing? One of the things that they talked about that they were fully entrenching Power Rangers in, that they were going to go ahead and start developing, was Power Rangers across different mediums, different platforms, from television to cinematic to streaming to animation. This is what they're talking about. We're starting to see the pieces start coming together for everything that Hasbro has been telling us they're going to be doing since they've purchased the brand. Now, this does come to us from Nick Meyer, E1's film president, and the global television president, Michael Lombardo. This is what they both say. They say, Jonathan has an incredible creative vision for this iconic and hugely successful franchise, and is hands down the right architect to join us as we reimagine the television and film worlds of this particular property. They also say, across our slate, we are looking forward to working with the most talented storytellers as we take on Hasbro's rich fan favorite brands and build entertainment universes around them. And it definitely looks like that's exactly what they're doing, guys. The idea of reimagining the television and film worlds for this particular property. Now, I know some people immediately will say that and think like, you know, are we completely erasing sort of Power Ranger lore? For me, I don't see that as the case. I feel like that would be really foolish for Hasbro just to completely reboot everything, if you will. If anything, I still feel like the Power Ranger lore will certainly still play a significant role, right? I mean, some of the articles that we've seen from the Illuminati in regards to maybe some of the movie updates have talked a little bit about the idea that maybe the movie would be set in the 90s, right? Maybe there would be some focus on the Mighty Morphin Power Ranger team back in the day, or whatever the case may be. Whatever they develop for that story and branch outwards with, I highly doubt that everything that came prior to that movie that they're introducing us to would go away. If they're going to be making that much of an effort to bring our current team from current time to the past time for us to get involved with what's happened in Power Ranger lore in the past, then for me, that means that as far as overarching story, where your past history of Power Rangers, I feel like a lot of that is certainly going to remain intact. But I feel like this movie is really going to branch us off into a brand new direction, not looking back any longer, but really looking forward. I mean, who knows? Maybe we'll get some cameos and things like that going forward in the future. But I'm just saying, from this particular comment that they're making here, it definitely does seem as though Jonathan, who, like they say, incredible creative vision for this franchise, has some really great ideas that they're assuming, and really maybe has some great ideas to freshen up and rebrand Power Rangers in a way that maybe could really benefit this franchise in the long run. So while they say reimagining things like that, I just think it means rebranding, not forgetting the past lore, but creating something new going forward and holding on to its values from the past is kind of what I take it as. Now, this comes from Entwistle himself. He says, this is an unbelievable opportunity to deliver new Power Rangers to both new and existing generations of awaiting and adoring fans. We'll bring the spirit of analog into the future, harnessing the action and storytelling that made this brand a success. So guys, they're going to be bringing us brand new stories, reaching out into the future, man, bringing us something brand new that we haven't really seen before. And I'm here for it, to be honest with you. I truly am here for it. So that's mostly the article there. I do want to go ahead and pull up for you guys too this for those of you who say, you know, oh, you're reading this off an article, because trust me, I have had some people come into this comment section before and say, oh, you're reading an article, you're not really reading anything from Hasbro. I don't know what they're talking about, but if you need further notice that this is happening, this is the actual official press release from Hasbro themselves, letting us know that, yes, Jonathan Entwistle signs on to reimagine new film and television universe based off of Power Rangers Entertainment, Power Rangers for Entertainment 1. The first page pretty much says the same exact thing that the Hollywood Reporter is notifying us on, but the enlarged section here that you see to the right, I did want to go ahead and highlight just that bottom portion here where it says, in 2018, Hasbro acquired the Power Ranger franchise from Saban Brands, releasing their first products in early 2019. In addition to the new non-kid projects under Entwistle, Power Rangers inspired kid series Beast Morphers is currently in season 2. So I find that interesting here. It says, in addition to the new non-kid series or non-kid projects under Entwistle. So it seems as though they're taking their step forward in a little bit more, I don't want to say adult entertainment, because that's probably the worst way to describe it, but definitely aging themselves, if you will, right? I mean, the one thing that we've complained about, or at least I've complained about when it comes to Power Rangers, is I feel like they talk down to some of these kids, to be quite honest with you. I feel like they've actually they take kids for granted and think that they're dumber than they truly are, because kids are super smart these days. And I really want to see better storytelling that's going to push these kids to learn and grow while certainly watching this show, and maybe allowing them to have more serious themes that kids can either relate to or are going to have to experience as they're coming of age, if you will, right? So I like the idea of them taking that next step. Hopefully things won't be a little bit more kiddie. Maybe we'll get ourselves some more, mature storytelling, mature ideas and things like that, and really having some fun. Even though when it comes to Jonathan Entwistle, and some of the stuff that he has done in the past, I know he is most notably known for doing a lot of dark material, if you will. But the one thing that they've talked about from Jonathan Entwistle, who's come out, one of the things that he said is that, just because of the fact that he does have that attachment to sort of dark humor and just dark storytelling, doesn't necessarily mean that that's the route that they're going. There are elements of action and adventure that Entwistle has come out and talked about that he wants to help recapture for Power Rangers. Not to say that it maybe isn't there, but it definitely seems as though he's looking to push the envelope outside of what we've already become accustomed to getting on a weekly basis on Saturday. You know what I mean? So I really love the idea of what they're certainly bringing on board. For me, this almost gives me a ton of confidence in Jonathan Entwistle a little bit more. It makes me feel as though E1 is really seeing what he's been coming up with idea-wise. I don't believe he's the one that's working on the script. I believe that they actually have another gentleman working on the script as a writer, but I wouldn't be surprised if maybe the collaboration with Entwistle along with the writer in charge, maybe they've been able to come up with some amazing ideas for them to go ahead and jot down. And next thing you know, we wind up having ourselves a gigantic sort of shared universe. So for those of you out there who were wondering, is Power Rangers TV going off the air? Are we not having a live action series anymore? No. Yeah, and it's not going anywhere, guys. Power Rangers will certainly still live on, but a little bit differently. And I'm gonna be honest, I'm gonna toot my horn here a little bit. I'm gonna toot my horn here a little bit, guys, because back in July, when we talked about the idea of the Hasbro and Toei split, the video is up on our YouTube page, by the way. If you go back to like the 49-minute mark, I just rechecked that video today. We talked about when we were talking about the Power Ranger movie news that wind up releasing, we talked heavily about the idea that we could see a TV series sort of be a spin-off from this movie. The reason why we mentioned that was because of the fact that it's being done in today's day and age. It's something that's brand new, I feel like, but it's starting to be utilized. Matt Reeves, that's doing the Batman, is creating a spin-off series of the Batman on HBO Max for Gotham PD, right? So a movie spinning off into a television series. James Gunn, who's doing Suicide Squad, they just announced for HBO Max, The Peacemaker, a spin-off television show from the Suicide Squad movie. This is starting to sort of become the norm. I mean, we're seeing Disney Plus with the Marvel shows kind of doing shows connected to the television series. And the one thing, again, that we've talked about when we did our Hasbro and Toei split, and I think we even talked about this maybe a couple weeks back for the Hasbro PulseCon thing, if I'm not mistaken. The idea that, hey, if you want to go ahead and reboot the franchise, I think it would be a fantastic idea if you take the movie, maybe even take that cast itself and branch them off into a television series. Now, I don't know if they're going to be reusing the same cast, but I have a feeling that they might. If they're trying to make everything a little bit more interconnected, I think it would certainly make sense if they certainly went that route, but we'll certainly have to wait and see. But I'm excited. I think this is a bold move. I think this is something fresh, brand new. The idea of spinning off a television series out of a movie. I don't know exactly when we're going to be getting it, but the fact that Jonathan Entwistle and E1 and Hasbro are working behind the scenes to make an interconnected universe really makes me thrilled. So it seems like stories can now branch out from the movie, whether that be from animated sort of point of view, whether that be from a television series sort of point of view, maybe throwing some of the comics connections, maybe some one shots, who certainly knows in regards to that. But I love what I'm certainly hearing right now. Now, whether or not the execution and things like that actually are successful is certainly another thing. But I definitely feel as though this is just another fixture in regards to proving the idea that, yes, Hasbro and Toei potentially are in fact splitting and moving apart. I just don't know if you can do these things that Entertainment One and Hasbro wants to do with Toei Company. And none of the articles that I have read has it mentioned Toei at all in regards to having to partner with them or whatever the case may be. So it does continue to seem, the more information that we get, the more information certainly is leaning towards the idea of Hasbro and Toei potentially splitting. So we'll certainly see what happens there. But guys, you know, I hear crickets out there. I hear crickets for people that were complaining about the idea that the Illuminati just simply spreads fake news and nothing ever true comes out of it. I think a lot of people are certainly revisiting some of those comments, maybe even deleting past tweets. Who certainly knows? But I'll tell you right now, there are crickets out there, and if people that are still talking about it, it's just really just a hard thing to I guess accept, right? Just talk about denial to the utmost, but we'll see what happens. Who knows? Who certainly knows, guys? But I've been leaning towards them potentially splitting. Yes, this is actually happening. And with this news here, that now we have a new architect to redesign our Power Ranger universe. This feels very much like a see you later, Toei. And that might upset some people, and I definitely understand that. I'm not trying to trample on your guys' dreams, I promise. Because trust me, I love Power Rangers just as much as you guys. But for me, I am ready for Power Rangers to embark on something brand new, and this is certainly something brand new. I mean, the notion here that we're getting a connected universe. Can you say Shattered Grid anybody? Can you say Spider-Verse anybody? Right? MCU, it's all connected anybody? Right? Like, they're getting on board with this whole multi-dimensional and multiverse aspect that's become really popular, I feel like, in pop culture these days when it comes to DC and Marvel. And Power Rangers has one of the best, sort of biggest universes that are certainly out there with so many different iterations. have fun with it, branch out, do something different. Let's get some live action footage in here, and let's really create something fantastic for ourselves. And it seems as though with everything that we've seen from, or that we've been reading in this particular article, it seems as though they've found their man for the job in Jonathan Entwistle. I'm really excited to certainly see what he's going to go ahead and bring to the table, ladies and gentlemen. So listen, I want to know your guys' thoughts at the end of the day. There are a couple of big questions that I do want to go ahead and propose and kind of throw out there, and maybe a couple of things of, I don't want to say warning, but maybe some notices. So first word of precaution, ladies and gentlemen, no demands, please. Okay, don't run to Twitter and try and reach out to Michael Lombardo or Jonathan Entwistle with storyline ideas. There's a reason why we're all behind the computer and they get paid the big bucks to create this kind of stuff. So please, no demands. Don't blow up their Twitter account with telling them what they need to do. No, they're going to do what they certainly want to do and what they certainly feel is best for the franchise. So let's not bombard them with a ton of demands, please. They are humans too, and they're just trying to create what's best as they possibly can. So please leave these people alone if you get the opportunity to. A couple of big questions, and I can't even lie. Couple of these questions actually come from Twitter. Those of you may be familiar with Raz on Twitter at Razzle1337. Raz, he did propose a couple of questions to himself, but I thought they were really fascinating questions, so I wanted to propose them here on our channel today. A couple questions that he said. What happens with the current production crew, right? Because we still have Chip Lynn, we still have Simon Bennett, we still have some of the writers. If you ask me, I think Dino Fury is probably going to be their last hurrah, if you will. I mean, maybe Simon Bennett as a director and showrunner maybe might come on board. Who knows? Maybe eOne winds up picking him up. Maybe he winds up staying with their company and they move him on to maybe create other content for Power Rangers. But as far as, if you were to ask me, as far as Power Rangers, the main line, like would they direct or write another Power Rangers live action series? I probably would say no to that, but I wouldn't be opposed to them maybe having other roles for other types of media for Power Rangers, if that certainly makes sense, right? So I think some people are okay. I think Chip Lynn probably might actually go ahead and depart. Wouldn't be surprised if maybe Simon Bennett sticks around, but as far as the writers, I wouldn't be surprised if they, because of the fact that they are under the branch of Entertainment One and it offers them a huge plethora of other talent and more proven talent that they can go to for writing and developing, whether it be animation, television series, or further movies, whatever they create. I do think that Entertainment One's sort of level of talent is probably just even much higher than what we're getting as far as content on Nickelodeon, if that makes sense. So I am expecting some of these people to say farewell and maybe some of them to remain on board in other ways, because I do feel like Jonathan Entwistle is it's one of those things, when some people say, like a new manager for a sports team comes in, what usually happens when they have a new manager, right? He usually starts bringing in people that he knows or that he's familiar with, right? So I have a feeling that they're probably going to surround Jonathan Entwistle with either people he's familiar with or top-notch talent that they know is trustworthy and providing great talent, great content. He also asked, how connected will the movies and TV shows be? If I had to guess, I mean, this seems as though it's going to be relatively connected. I don't know if it's going to be a thing of like, hey, you finish off the movie and it says to be continued and you got to go into the television series. I don't think it's necessarily like that, but I do think that the movie universe will just be sort of that tent pole that will eventually branch everything off, that other movies and television series may reference back to, or it might be like that big moment in Power Ranger franchise that things eventually kind of branched off at. So I do think that the movie will kind of be like a brand new starting point, if you will, without forgetting the past history, but a brand new starting point for this new regime. So I have a feeling that it will always be connected in some manner, but I don't think it's going to be a case of like, hey, part one is on the live action, part two is on the animated series, part three, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think it's going to be along those lines, but make no mistake, very similar to how the MCU is built, right? Not every movie is a complete direct connection to each other, if that makes sense. So I do feel as though it still will be connected to a certain extent, but not everything, not like everything will be connected to what just previously came. He also says, will the movies be on television or theatrical? Now, that's a good question. And that actually brings me back to what we read in this article about the idea of Paramount, or I should say Hasbro and E1, moving the Power Ranger production from Paramount to E1. If there is anything that does worry me, let me go ahead and pull this up here real quick. I want to see Entertainment One theatrical releases. Let me see if they have any theatrical releases. I'm trying to see if there's a way to kind of pull that up here. Entertainment One movies, 49 titles. I'm wondering if any of them have been like big theatrical releases though. Maybe some of them. Okay, yeah, there are a couple up there that I do recall. But with a big name behind them, like Paramount, it does make me worried a little bit. I do know that Paramount maybe doesn't have the biggest, I don't want to say budget, but I feel like I've heard stories or read stories of Paramount being I want to say desperate for money, but kind of low on funds, if that makes sense, right? So I'm wondering if this is maybe Hasbro sort of hedging their bets, maybe not wanting to maybe go with Paramount, which would still be interesting and weird to me because, I mean, they certainly still trust them for other things, right? Like Bumblebee and their Transformers sort of property over at Paramount. So I'm going to, I think that's a great question from Raz as to whether or not the movies are going to be in TV or theatrical. A part of me is now I'm wondering, like, is this going to be a theatrical release, or because of the fact of how the pandemic has hit everything and the movie theaters not being maybe what they once were, maybe this is them deciding, you know what, maybe we should make this into a movie for television or something along those lines instead of a big screen adaptation. I don't know. That's just me speculating right now, though, guys. Raz also asked the question, what does this mean for Toei? I honestly think that this means Toei and Hasbro will have potentially split, so no more connection there. When does new production take effect? I would assume, if anything, a lot of this stuff is taking effect as of right now. I'm pretty sure they got Entwistle and probably a writer's room and maybe a couple of other people behind the scenes that are currently working on putting together, laying the groundwork for this expanded universe, if you will, for Power Rangers going forward. So I think Dino Fury is pretty much set. We already got Simon Bennett, Chip Lynn working on that vigorously. So Dino Fury is certainly set for us for 2021, along with the writers and things like that. So that certainly won't affect Dino Fury at all. If anything, this will probably start in 2022 or 23. And again, I believe even at the Festival of Licensing article that we did last weekend, they even mentioned that as we get further into the beginning of 2021, that further details will in fact be released. So if you were to ask me, I think that's probably going to be when they announce the Hasbro and Toei split sometime early 2021. If anything, I would probably say they probably announce it maybe just before or after the Dino Fury winds up being released. But I'm sure more details will certainly come as we get a little bit further into 2021, guys. But listen, I want to know your thoughts, guys. I think this is great. I think for me, Jonathan Entwistle, while I'm not too familiar with his work, if E1 and Hasbro and people like Michael Lombardo are in fact impressed with what he's been capable of doing, I feel as though they've probably have found the man for the job. So it seems like Jonathan Entwistle is going to be the showrunner moving forward for a lot of our Power Ranger television and movie adaptations that we wind up getting. For me, it'll be really interesting to see the team that Jonathan Entwistle brings around him. What other writers is he going to certainly bring on board to go ahead and develop some of these series even further? Now, I know while he's certainly capable of being a writer, he does have some writing under his experience. I feel like he's most notably known for a lot of his directing and show running skills. So I wouldn't be surprised if we get ourselves a co-writer or a couple other writers on board with Jonathan to go ahead and bring this in. Because as of right now, the article really just focuses him on really as being not only the showrunner, but the director for TV and movies going forward as well. So it doesn't mean that he's going to be directing everything, but I think as far as the lead person in charge as to how this franchise is going to go, he is definitely going to be the man. So good luck for sure. Jonathan, I hope everything goes well for you. Listen, if you ever want to come on APlus Morphinominal and discuss this further, give your thoughts on the Power Ranger franchise and what you want to establish, I would love to certainly have you on and certainly pick your brain a little bit, man. So good luck out there for sure. But listen, at the end of the day, guys, I definitely want to go ahead and know your APlus opinions. These are just mine, but I want to certainly know yours. So let me go ahead and jump into the live chat with you guys and just see what some of you guys are saying. And also, before I even do that, I do want to let you guys know, listen, again, we're probably going to talk about this towards this upcoming weekend, Saturday live at noon Central Time, as we always do. We'll definitely go ahead and talk about this even further. But if you want to go ahead and submit any questions, because we do have a live viewer question at the end of the show, if you want to go ahead and submit your live viewer questions anytime throughout the week, if you want to have any questions about this news article, any other information that winds up dropping throughout the week, send your question to aplusmorphinominal@gmail.com. Again, that's aplusmorphinominal@gmail.com, and submit your questions or comments or topics that you want to go ahead and discuss, and we'll certainly get to those on Saturday, again, live at noon Central Time. All right, guys. Let's get into some of these questions, shall we? See what you guys are saying in regards to this news. I'm sure it's going to be a little bit all over the place, but we'll see. Jaden says, so Jonathan is like a co-showrunner. Well, I would say he's probably the head showrunner now, at least in regards to Power Rangers, outside of what's already been established with a production team like Simon Bennett and Chip Lynn. I believe, if anything, the way that they've talked about it in this article, Jonathan Entwistle really is, I don't even say co-showrunner. I feel very much like he's going to be the showrunner or the head honcho in regards to Power Rangers moving forward. Let's see here. What's up, Gabriel? Certainly good to see you. Great news today. Hey, I'm glad that you're just as excited about it as I certainly am, because if anything, to be honest with you guys, you know, a lot of people have been on Twitter, maybe not that thrilled about the idea of Hasbro taking over the franchise. And I get it, because of the fact that it is brand new and things like that. And sometimes change can certainly be worrisome. But I got to say, if anything, over the past 2 years, Hasbro has really done nothing besides continuing to show that they have had a plan for Power Rangers, like they've mentioned that they've had a plan. And those things are certainly in motion. Now, whether or not the results are going to be fantastic, that's certainly still up in the air. But if you have somebody like Hasbro that has come out countless times and talked about how Power Rangers is important to their brand, how they have a whole entire blueprint and plan for it that they want to unleash, we're starting to see that plan unleashed. So kudos to Hasbro for at least continuing to push with this franchise, putting the pieces into place and not just sitting on it and not doing anything with it. It seems as though they have plans. So we'll see. Johnny, get him a body bag. Yeah. What's up, man? Johnny says, hey, Adam, do you think that the upcoming Power Rangers reboot films and the new TV shows are going to connect to the main TV universe since MMPR? I do. I don't know how connected they're going to be, but I think, if anything, the reboot movie will kind of put that all together, right? I believe from the Illuminati article, if you want to believe the source from them, you know, they talked about the idea of that some of the MMPR references might be in here. That you know, there might be utilizing some past footage also from the past. So make no mistake, this movie that we're getting, I think, if anything, is just going to solidify this one gigantic universe over all these different dimensions that we've had. Will solidify it in one thing in this movie, and then boom, we'll just branch out with television shows, and everything will really be sort of connected. So yeah, I have a feeling it certainly will be connected to the main television universe from what I've been able to tell. So again, I'm not worried about Power Ranger lore. Like, I do feel that there are some people that are worried that this means Hasbro's going to completely cut out, like, oh, whatever happened in Mystic Force never happened, or Jungle Fury, what's that? Retcon that. No, I don't feel like that's what it is. If anything, I feel like they're using that movie to bring it all together in a nice, neat little package, and then boom, off to the races we go, sort of thing. That's how I kind of think. Johnny also says, also, will Simon Bennett be a part of the new TV adaptations of Power Rangers aside from Dino Fury? If I had to take my guess, I would say no, Johnny. but I could be wrong. I think he's probably under contract, I would assume, with maybe Hasbro if he's been certainly brought in. So I would think maybe, again, he was one of those people that I talked about, maybe being them keeping him around and utilizing him in other things for Power Rangers. So we'll see. We'll see, Johnny. I don't want to give a definitive answer, but if I had to speculate, I would probably say no. Red is not a flavor says, I didn't watch It's the End of the Effing World. I've watched the first 2 episodes. It's not bad. When I say it's dark, when I tell you he is a dark storyteller, make no mistakes about it. But the performances were great. The story was pretty good so far from what I had watched from the first 2 episodes. Give it a shot and see what you certainly like. But again, Jonathan Entwistle has come out and said that yes, while I do dark material, make no mistake that doesn't necessarily mean that that's how we're approaching Power Rangers. And if you ask me, one, I hope that's not how they approach the season as a whole, because he has mentioned the idea of definitely bringing in the fun action adventure elements to it. But I feel like this allows him at least to really tap into more mature themes if he certainly wants to, right? The press release itself that we wind up bringing up even further mentioned the idea that, Power Rangers, in addition to the new non-kid projects under Entwistle. So it definitely feels to me as though they're definitely upping their game, if you will, for the type of stories that they're certainly going to tell. But check it out if you get a chance, Red. It is on Netflix. It is available on Netflix, if I'm not mistaken. Jaden Grove says, and Michael Lombardo is the executive producer too. Yeah, he is the executive producer on Dino Fury as of right now. So again, in the beginning of the year, we highlighted him being brought on, and you can see already that he's having an impact in here. And the fact that him and Nick Meyer from Entertainment One came out and talked about what Jonathan Entwistle was going to be doing. Again, he's the guy that pulls the trigger and makes those decisions. So again, trying to showcase you the importance of Michael Lombardo. He's putting people in these positions to create great content going forward. So we'll see what happens. Let's see here. Steven, what's up? He says, do you think they're going to do anything with the original Rangers that include Jason David Frank? Maybe a cameo in the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers movie. Mighty Morphin Power Rangers movies in the upcoming Power Rangers movie. If anything, I think maybe they would return maybe some of the cast members for that, but that's probably the extent of it. I mean, if you ask me, listen, I think it's also important because of the fact that Hasbro has such ownership of this property. Who's to say that they still don't create other types of content that will support some of the original Rangers? You know what I mean? So I don't think this means like we'll never see these cameos or these characters again. I just think if anything, it'll be a rebranding, and maybe they'll wind up creating something that will really help bring back some of these original Rangers. One of the things I've talked about in regards to what they can develop, I love the idea of them diving into some animation. If you want to bring back some of the original Rangers, utilize the actors as the voice actors for them, right? Bring those characters back, bring those actors that played those characters back in something like an animated series as a voice actor. So yeah, I think the original Rangers will certainly be included. I just don't know if it's going to be television wise, movie wise, or animation wise, but I don't think they're fully going to be saying farewell to any of that. Matthew says, sounds like they have some pretty great plans for Ranger Nation even after Dino Fury. It seems like it. It definitely seems as though they've got some sort of storyboard group or like writer group or whoever's back there trying to put together something. But it definitely feels as though there are some great plans for Ranger Nation. Bacon and Sushi says, do you think the movie will film in New Zealand or somewhere like Vancouver or Toronto, just like the 2017 movie? I think they should film here in the US so it's not non-union. I don't know if non-union is out in Vancouver or Toronto. I feel like you could still be, considering the fact of all the stuff that actually does film out there. I don't think that the movie will film in New Zealand, but I could be wrong. I feel like they have for a while. So we'll see. But I don't know in regards to that. Shadow Nova, hey, sorry I'm late. Didn't realize it was Saturday. Yeah, now Saturday comes quick, man. No, we just doing an impromptu episode this week. Jaden says, "Do you know who the writers for Dino Fury are?" I do not. I would assume Becca and Alwyn are certainly coming back, along with maybe some of the writer interns that you have been mentioning over the past couple of weeks, Jaden. But I don't know who's coming back for Dino Fury as of yet. Christopher, what's up, Christopher? Thank you for coming through, man. Appreciate you having you in here. He says, I hate the DC spinoff ideas, but I'm intrigued with Power Rangers. I am kind of curious as to why you're not the biggest fan of the spinoff ideas. For me, at least, I think it heightens just the movie in regards to understanding the importance that the movie has in the universe that they're certainly creating, right? Because it kind of leads off as like a starting point, if you will. And I feel like, if anything, this just continues to add to the world building and the history of Power Rangers, or just the idea of doing spinoffs out of movies in general. I think it just really adds to world building and being able to revisit that world that you just went to in the movies, but on your television, if that makes sense. So I'm sorry that you don't like the idea of the spinoff ideas, but cool to see that you are at least intrigued with how they're going to be trying to pull it off for Power Rangers. So you and me both, Christopher. We'll see how they do this. Shadow Nova says, so it's a completely different TV universe. I thought this meant the show now was going to be in the same universe as the movie. And kind of going back with Bacon and Sushi says it will be in continuity. So yeah, it definitely will be in continuity with one another. Regardless of what Power Rangers will look like going forward, I'm very much under the impression that it will still hold some level of continuity, that if anything, the movie might just tighten and make a little bit more, a little neater, if you will. But I still think that it won't be a completely different TV universe. I think, if anything, this will just, the movie will put it all together neatly and just create off of that. So not different, but just pretty much the same universe and continuing in continuity. What's up, S. Chroma? Certainly good to see you certainly coming through. Appreciate it. Red is not a flavor says you demand something and then they can't use it in storylines too. That's absolutely right. That's absolutely right. You know, there's a lot of people out there that will throw out their ideas and what they would love to see for a television show. But if I'm not mistaken, when it comes to TV and movies, like whoever the studio is, I don't believe that they are allowed to like use your ideas, because at some point in time, if they do use an idea that's similar to what you just decided, I'm pretty sure that there are tons of people out there that would try and sue, right? Like, you took my idea, you took my idea. So listen, if you do have an idea, I highly recommend that you go through the necessary channels in order to get your ideas heard. That means start becoming a writer, get yourself some sort of like writing agent and things like that, so you can attach yourself to a studio and start maybe making some scripts and some ideas. But the idea of just going up to these people and saying, I want to see this, I want you to do this, can you do this, please? That's just not going to work. They can't take your ideas. Doesn't mean that they can't do something similar, but make no mistake, it will be them that certainly comes up with it at the end of the day. So please, don't demand anything. Don't demand anything. Because I have seen some people already not even demanding. It's not even necessarily demanding. There are some people in this fandom that does demand. Don't get me wrong. But, you know, some people asking the idea of like, hey, bring Kyle Higgins on, right? Bring Ryan Parrott on. And I wouldn't be opposed to that. I wouldn't be opposed to that. If anything, do I need them to be Involved? No, I don't. Can I have them as creative consultants? Maybe. Yeah, I would be completely down for that. But if Hasbro told me, said, hey, listen, we're not going to be using them on the television and movie side of things. We want to keep them on comic books. Hey, that's their decision. I'll be perfectly okay with it as long as they're continuing to push out great content certainly for me to enjoy. But I'm not going to crap on them right away if they don't use Ryan Parrott. Because sometimes I feel like when people make these suggestions, it's almost like an either or, like either you use it or I don't care about this announcement and I'm not going to watch it. You know what I mean? Like it's an either or. It's not an and, or people aren't going to be okay with whatever the decision is. So it rubs me the wrong way sometimes. But if they want to bring in something like a Ryan Parrott or Kyle Higgins to certainly help out, I would be okay with it. But if they don't, I'm not going to blast them either. I think that's certainly up to them. Shadow Nova says, bruh, I'm loving Adam's energy today. Man, I tell you, this news, it woke me up. It woke me up, and we've been busy today here, man. We've been busy today. We had our Caramasia review wind up dropping today. Our Common Rider Saber review dropped today. We did a reaction video for Go Busters episode number 40 over on APlus Hero Report. I went ahead and dropped the Mandalorian trailer review today, and then this came up. Yeah, man. I think this topped off my day. This was the icing on the cake for me. So my energy is definitely up. And to answer your question, it's a rice cooker, guys. It's a rice cooker. JV says, what says, I'm cool with the split from Toei, but at this point, I err on rumors since they have not come out directly and said it. Yeah, no, I definitely understand what you mean there, JV says what. Again, I've never come out and absolutely confirmed that that's exactly what's happening. If anything, I've just simply said that I believe it's extremely plausible, and I am leaning towards the idea of it being true. With all the news that we're getting, it definitely is leaning in that direction. But clearly, until Hasbro winds up announcing it, I definitely will keep it up there. But I am definitely leaning to the idea that yes, this feels like it's certainly about to happen with everything that's been going on. But we'll certainly see. Again, I don't think we're going to get that type of announcement at least until 2021, to be honest with you. So we'll see what develops. But yeah, guys, I don't think that's happening. Tony Robinson in the house. What's up? Appreciate you guys coming through today. Shadow Nova even in Greece, he says, so yeah, so he's the new Kevin Feige. That's what it feels like to me, honestly, when I read that. The fact that he's overseeing, he's going to be directing. I mean, granted, Kevin Feige doesn't direct, but he is overseeing, right? He is helping coming up with storyline plots and details to further this universe and further these stories. And then, of course, he brings in directors and writers to really pull out all the details, if you will. But it definitely feels as though Jonathan Entwistle is kind of that new Kevin Feige for Power Ranger franchise going forward. Ram Jam says, I wonder if they'll do Shattered Grid in live action form or animated form. It's possible. And the fact that you get that opportunity now to do it in live action form, to me, really, really excites me if that's something that they wanted to do. Who certainly knows? But I do think that they certainly could do this in live action or animated form if you want to. Tony Robinson came through. Appreciate it. Power Rangers in your areas in the house. What's up, man? Good to see you. Thank you very much for you guys stopping by today. Probably will wrap this up soon because we have been going on for quite some time. Donaldson, what's up, Donaldson? Appreciate you. Good seeing you in here. I'm glad I was able to get to your question here. I was scrolling through. I'm like, who is some from new faces? What do you think would make Power Rangers relevant again? A complete rebrand, to be honest with you. And I don't say that to hurt people's feelings. I think it needs to become relevant again. And I think the only way to do that is to rebrand it. Power Rangers has been around for 20 something years. And the main focus of Power Rangers to this day is still Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Like, I don't care what some of our favorite television seasons of Power Rangers certainly are. Mighty Morphin Power Rangers reign supreme in regards to the general public's eyes. You know, a majority of the people, you stare at them and say, hey, did you watch Power Ranger Jungle Fury? They'll look at you with a blank stare in your face, right? But if you say, hey, you remember Mighty Morphin Power Rangers? Yeah, with Tommy? Yeah, I get that all the time. People get that all the time. Like my girlfriend, literally, we were doing during the Illuminati, what did they have? The Power Ranger convention that they wind up having, the virtual con, you know, they had the JDF interview. And I put it on a little bit because she was like, yeah, I wouldn't mind watching it with you. I'm like, yes, best girlfriend ever. So I put it on and it's the JDF interview. And she's like, oh, that's Tommy. I know that guy. She immediately knows him. So I don't mean to say that like, to make Power Rangers relevant again, you have to go back to MMPR. That's not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is the fact that you got to rebrand it. You got to make it fresh again, guys. You have to make it fresh again. You know, people just look at it still as a kid show that uses Japanese footage. And maybe they don't even know that it uses Japanese footage. It may just know that it's a kid show. You got to rebrand it now. You've got different generations now that watch Power Rangers, right? You've got people that were kids from Mighty Morphin Power Rangers now as adults watching this. You got brand new children that are certainly coming on board to the franchise. You have to start branching out and creating content for everybody, not just children, but for everybody. So rebranding, creating brand new content, bringing fresh new eyes to the franchise, because there's a reason why when you watch things like movies and television, sometimes, you know, you may get a director on board for like 2 movies or you know, maybe 1 movie out of a trilogy. A lot of that in times, especially that I've been able to notice, is that if a director or somebody stays on board with a franchise so much, they get a little bit burnt out. They, you know, a lot of their ideas become more and more lackluster because of the fact that it's just been rinse repeat sort of thing, right? So influx some new blood into there, get some new vision from entertainers and artists and crew members outside of, you know, what Saban and everybody else has brought in. That's why they got Entertainment One. So you use Entertainment One to bring in fresh blood, fresh mind, and a fresh vision. And you combine all 3 of those things, and hopefully that'll help Power Rangers become relevant again, because unfortunately Power Rangers is just not relevant anymore for a lot of people. And I know that sucks to hear because we are part of this fandom. And I'm not going to go so far as to say that Power Rangers is dead. I feel like maybe I have said that before, maybe a little bit exaggerated, but I don't think anybody will tell you that Power Rangers is booming, that Power Rangers is super successful, or at least I should say at its peak of its I don't know if we're ever going to get back to its peak. I mean, the fact that it has been going on for 27 years, I think, is at least a tribute to some people paying attention to it. But it just feels stagnant, right? I feel like people will tell you that Power Rangers has been stagnant for a lot of years. And so in order to keep it from being stagnant, you got to change it up. Separate from Toei. Bring in new, fresh, creative ideas and eyes on this property. Reboot it and give us something fresh and things like that. Push it forward. Don't be afraid. So thank you for the question, Donaldson. I appreciate it. Noah, what's up, Noah? Appreciate you coming through. Shadow Nova says, so there is still a chance they could do Sentai adaptions. I really don't think so, Shadow Nova. I really don't think so. I think this is probably going to be them just creating all new footage and all new material, but we'll see. Yeah, like Bacon and Sushi says, if Toei split doesn't happen, I hope they split. Super Sentai has limitations when it comes to Power Rangers, but depends on the writing as well. I just think the idea of having Super Sentai footage connected again just really hinders your limitations, really puts limitations on what you can do in regards to storytelling, right? Because you may have ideas that you want to explore, but the Sentai footage gets presented to you and you're like, hey, work around this. Okay. I can't use my own content? No, work around this. Okay. Tony says, Adam, I feel that this new Rangerverse, oh, I like that Rangerverse, could be their rebrand. I definitely feel you on that, man. I definitely agree. But other than that, guys, I think that's going to actually wrap it up for us here today. Because again, if anything, we are in fact going to be back later on this weekend. Again, we do have our live show. That we're going to be focusing on this a little bit more, along with the brand new episode of Dino Fury of Beast Morphers set to come also. So trust me when I say we got a ton of content and a ton of stuff for us to certainly talk about this upcoming weekend. But guys, listen, we've got ourselves a brand new Power Ranger architect. It seems as though we're going to have ourselves a combined universe from movies and television. And we have Hasbro, Entertainment One, and Jonathan Entwistle to certainly thank for that. So we'll definitely keep you up to date if any other news winds up developing out of this particular story through the week. If anybody comes out and has any brand new quotes or starts talking about anything. But listen, at the end of the day, I definitely want to know your thoughts, guys. I feel like Power Rangers is headed in a great direction. And I'm really eager for the future, even though I can understand people certainly being nervous. Again, if you want to further discuss this, or maybe you have further questions, or whether it be in regards to this article, other stuff throughout the week, topics that you want to discuss, go ahead and submit them over to aplusmorphinominal@gmail.com. Again, aplusmorphinominal@gmail.com. And then we're going to be going live Saturday at noon Central Time. So certainly join us then. And of course, guys, listen, if you haven't subscribed yet, do yourself a favor and subscribe. Hit that subscribe button. I'm not asking you to stop watching other Power Ranger YouTube videos, but add us to your selection, man. Add us to your list. If you want to go ahead and be caught up on Power Rangers, Super Sentai, and Kamen Rider news and reviews, this is the place. So hit that subscribe button along with that bell notification. So when we go live or drop brand new videos, you'll be notified. If you want to follow us on social media, you can go ahead and do so right here at APlus Opinions. Feel free to go ahead and find us on Facebook, which is our hub for APlus Opinions. We're also on Twitter, Instagram, and Twitch for you gamers as well. So until next time, I'll see you guys this upcoming Saturday. Do me a big favor though. Take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and until next time, keep it A+. I'll talk to you later. Bye.